I'm a part of an established group. In fact, we've had the benefit and the fruit of being in a larger group where two of our senior members, Beth and the Gartmans. No. I mean, we've been able to divide.
Yep.
We've been able to start a new group.
And we're reaping the fruit of your division, so
Yeah.
we're in one of those groups.
So, an established group, whether it's you guys or us, or sounds like we're all established groups. We do regular Bible study and prayer, and we have a social event interspersed occasionally with that. You know, just like let's go have some fun, let's go bowling.
Yep.
I mean, we seem to have that kind of that nice pattern, and we're all comfortable with that. And so what I'm hearing here is, if we're already we're into a new book already, and it's Finding the Sacred. It's a good book by Bruce Main, and you know, if I brought in who questions everything to do with the organized church, and then all of a sudden we're in the middle of a Bible study, what I'm hearing is we almost need to say, okay, we're going to put that book on the shelf and let it get dusty for a while, and we're going to be comfortable, or we're going to have to tailor our book, or we're going to have to do something brand new. It's, to me, it's worth, I'm hearing spiritual fed for our people, which we need that. As an elder is thinking, we need to have that regularly for our church, but how do we find a fine line of taking 8 people of a group and putting their needs slightly aside for one person, which is, I mean, one person's soul. I mean, we're talking about an unsaved person here. How much are we willing to sacrifice in our groups for that? Sounds like we need to do a lot. So, I mean, in reality, Ben, how can we, if we're all, let's just say we're all established groups doing all Bible study right now. Let's just, even if we're not. What would you recommend to shepherd someone in who is not involved in the Bible?
Our group, I'm representing the Women's Wednesday night, and we're doing a study on Too Busy Not to Pray. And our book is so short that I think we only would need to meet like 6 or 7 times. So we're going to use just extra Wednesday nights to do outreach. You know, or to do something for somebody else. And all the groups could really do that, you know.
So it doesn't have to be regularly, it just has, let's take a night and just bring them to the social event, or bring them in.
Sure.
What we're thinking of is doing something like going to Safe Harbor and just doing something for those women, you know. Because we're women, you know, but
I think
you can somehow get it into your schedule.
there's a lot of ways to balance that, I think. You can do the schedule thing. Like I heard of a group, I'll talk about it in a minute, but what they would do is one Saturday a month they'd get together and would serve each other. That was the goal for one Saturday morning every month. They also had their meeting times, and they probably were meeting, if not weekly, twice a month, which some of our, I think, like our group right now, we meet once a month, and that's probably, it seems to be the pattern from what I'm hearing for a number of our groups, is about once a month. So, you know, you can work your schedule around it. You could find, as far as maybe materials, you could bring somebody in and then do your best to help them understand the materials that you're currently working with. And that's a balance. I mean, you can't, you don't want one person to dominate the entire thing. And you would hope that they would understand that too, and that's part of the role of a small group leaders to help sort of smell that out. If somebody's really dominating, find a way to maybe talk to them and say, can we work this out so that everybody can be involved a little bit better? But also helping the group to understand that there are going to be times when we need to slow down and bring somebody else into it. And you could pick your materials, bring your materials down just a smidge so that other people in the group are benefiting from it. The other thing, you know, and I really go back and forth on this issue, is sometimes there are people who may say, I want to be in a small group, and we go, all right, what small group do we put them in? And there might be relationships that we have to say, that group's probably not the best for that person, just because of the other couple or the other person that's in there, and they have a relationship thing going on there. So maybe picking the best place to put them. Stuff like that. Now, if you're the one building the relationship with them, chances are they're coming to your group. But you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As we plug people from our church into groups in the future, we've got to consider some of those things.
Carolyn, did you want to say something?
I was just thinking, if we're really
trying to reach someone from the outside, don't you think we have to get our groups much smaller? It's pretty threatening to get into 8 people who, men or women or young people that know the Bible pretty well, and you're the only one that doesn't.
Yeah.
I think you could much better do it in 1 or 2.
Okay.
I know I would be good going there.
Sure. And there's a place for that. A lot of now technically in the ministry jingo, what's the word? Lingo, jargon, lingo. I was putting it to jingo. Jargon and lingo. What you're talking about there is what is typically called discipleship, like a one-on-one mentoring type of relationship, and that's very, very extremely valuable too. And you couldn't. That's one way we could do things. I think typically when we think of groups, we're talking 4 to 10. Smaller groups, we could purposefully put real small groups together for that purpose. But I think the flip side is, say you have a group of 8 to 10, and they all do know the Bible real well. As we transition, part of the reason we're starting this training right now is we're trying to help our church and what we do have, make what we do have really good, so that we can start bringing other folks in and having it work well. And I think one of the things we need to work on is helping the people currently in our groups to understand that one of our goals is to bring in people who may not understand the Bible much. And how do we answer their questions when they ask about something from the Bible? Do we jump in? There's a guy that in a group that I'm with, not a small group, you probably don't know him. Anyway, somebody would ask, a little kid would ask a question about the Bible, and he'd jump in with like Calvinistic theology, covenantal, blah, 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 blah. And the kid was like banana, 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 banana. It doesn't mean anything. So we have to help people understand how to address and teach and stuff like that. So one of the ways is smaller groups. Another way is to help the groups we have be able to mentor those kind of folks. So.
Or like Carolyn, like you said, maybe meet with this person one-on-one a little bit more and develop that closer friendship and relationship before introducing them to big group or get another couple. To,
absolutely.
I know what you're saying though. It can be a little threatening.
I know. I
probably.
Sure.
Yeah.
Norm, do you have a?
Yeah, I was thinking that for guys and even girls, you could have a group of guys that like to go golfing once a week.
Absolutely. Yep.
And then invite him to join the group.
Yep.
And get to know him.
Yep.
Maybe have a foursome and then just the threesome or whatever.
Yep.
And eventually invite him to a study group or to your church to get to know him.
Yep.
I know my sister, for instance, in Racine, there was a lady that was kind of outside, kind of searching again for to believe. Mm-hmm. And she wanted to go golfing at this par 3 down there. Well, Ruth had not golfed in years, but she, rather than turn her down and discourage her, said, okay, I'll go with you. So she said it was fun. So she went a couple times. I don't know what's happened.
Dug a lot of divots and ripped up the grass and had a good time. That's what I do, yeah.
They created a bond.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And they could go fishing. They could go bowling. You could get groups that have a common activity. Mm-hmm. And then work from there.
Yep, absolutely. And we'll talk a bit about that in a little bit, kind of how we're going to look at groups from our church's perspective. Dennis, did you?
The Brookfield Church Plan, that's how they're working. They got 5 different groups all over the area, small groups that they're starting up, just reaching out to people that way. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good way to start.
Absolutely.